Hey everyone, welcome back to KSSP Podcast. And if you're new here, I'm Spencer.
And I'm Katie.
And today, in our topic of wage slavery, this video, we're going to cover what we can do about it to help, I guess, combat it, if you will. So, first, we're going to start with unions. So, I have some information, and then I also have some statistics from the EPI, which is the Economic Policy Institute. So first, I'll read their overall, I guess, statistics, and then I'm gonna go a little more in depth on some of them. But so what unions help with? So unions can help with income and economic protections. So they found that on average, the 17 U.S. states with the highest union densities have state minimum wages that are on average 19% higher than the national average and 40% higher than those in low union density states, have median annual income $6,000 higher than the national average, and have higher than average unemployment insurance recipiency rates. That is, a higher share of those who are unemployed actually receive unemployment insurance. For health and personal well-being, they found that states with the highest union densities have an uninsured, those without health insurance, population 4.5 percentage points lower on average than that of low union density states. They have all elected to expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act, protecting their residents from falling into the coverage gap, and are more likely to have passed paid sick leave laws and paid family and medical leave laws than states with lower union densities. And then democracy, how unions can help democracy. They found that there were significantly fewer restrictive voting laws being passed in the 17 highest union density states than in the middle 17 states, including DC, and the 17 lowest union density states. And over 70% of low union density states passed at least one voter suppression law between 2011 and 2019. And then, also from the EPI, here's just a map that shows unionization varies widely by state. So it just kind of gives you union density by state, and then low, medium, high. And then, so I just have, so why do unions help? They promote economic equality and build worker power, and they can help workers win increases in pay, better benefits, and safer working conditions. And they not only benefit the workers who are in those unions, but also their communities. In communities with unions, you can find positive economic, health, and democratic outcomes, as we found with the EPI. And they also can help non union workers too. By setting better standards of working conditions, it will encourage the non union employers to meet those same standards if they want to attract and retain the workers they need. So, how do they help with the wages? We kind of went over that the high union density states had an average median income about $6,000 higher than the national average. Low union density states had an average median income about $6,500 lower. Union workers earned about 10.2% more in wages when compared to non union workers. And unions may potentially help with the gender and racial/ethnic wage gaps. So, women's pay was about 4.7% higher in a union compared to a non union worker. Black workers made about 13.1% more compared to non union, and Hispanic workers were paid about 18.8% more, again, compared to non unions. Yeah. So then I just have two more pictures, again, from the EPI. So the average state minimum wage is 40% higher in high union density states than in low union density states, as we can see here. And then median household incomes in high union density states are more than $12,000 higher on average than median incomes in low union density states. Again, as we can see here. So then the next thing is, how can unions help with healthcare? Well, more than 9 in 10 unionized workers have access to employer-sponsored health benefits. And union employers contribute more to their employees' health care benefits. And again, from the EPI, we just have another kind of figure here that shows residents of high union densities states are more likely to have health insurance. And then one more, what other benefits can unions potentially help with? Union employers are more likely to offer retirement plans and to contribute more towards those plans. And union workers are more likely to have paid sick days, vacation, and holidays, more input into the number of hours they work, and more predictable schedules. And again, we just have a picture here that shows high union density states are more likely to have passed paid leave laws. And then I also have one here that just kind of shows, as we mentioned earlier, that voter restriction bills are more likely to pass in low union density states than in high union density states. So, as we can see, unions could be an effective way to fight wage slavery by increasing wages, providing better working conditions and benefits, as well as helping the communities as a whole.
So, what about worker cooperatives? Well, what is a worker cooperative? A worker cooperative is a values-driven business that puts worker and community benefit at the core of its purpose. They help workers feel more in control. And some will say that worker co-ops simply do not work as functioning businesses, but worker co-ops have shown significant growth in the latest survey data, according to 50 by 50. So let's see. Worker cooperatives have grown in number of both enterprises and locations since 2015. So, the racial demographic of worker owners continue to show a majority of people of color with a concentration of Latino workers. I say Latina, not Latinx. So it's about 41% white, 37% Latina, 13% black, and 6.2% other. And as for gender, people identifying as female continue to make up the majority of the workforce at worker cooperatives. So there's 62.5% female, about 36% male, and about 2% non-binary. So here's some key data points. So this was, two organizations had just released the latest findings in the 2019 Worker Cooperative State of the Sector Report, analyzing data collected from 2018 and deepening collective understanding of the sector in several ways. So the key points. The survey verified 465 worker cooperatives. This is the largest number of worker cooperatives our annual census has verified to date. To be successfully verified, a business must be incorporated, have at least 3 worker owners, have at least 50% worker ownership, and have completed a full year of business operation. Firms that do not meet these requirements are not included in the 465, and as such, we consider this to be a conservative count. Based on our work in the field and close partnerships across the country, we estimate the number of worker cooperatives operating at the time of the survey to be closer to 800 when non-verified enterprises are included in the count. So our count represents 35.7% net growth in verified worker cooperatives since 2013 and 5.1% growth in the net total number of verified enterprises from the previous year. The verified worker cooperatives employed 6,454 workers in 2018, producing about $505 million in revenue. Consistent with last year's State of the Sector report, participating workplaces reported an average top-to-bottom pay ratio of 2-to-1. This pay ratio is in stark contrast to the average pay ratio of traditionally structured businesses, which sits at 303-to-1. Worker cooperatives pay equity is a reflection of democratic workplaces prioritizing worker benefit from business success as opposed to shareholder executive benefit from business success. And another thing we can do is create a livable wage. So we're going to look at another article, Yeah, this article about protecting low wage workers from inflation from the EPI, Economic Policy Institute. All right. So, faster inflation makes it more important, not less, to raise the federal minimum wage. Every year, lawmakers don't raise the minimum wage is a year that they have effectively cut the purchasing power and living standards of this country's lowest wage workers. Even under a worst case inflation scenario where every penny and extra pay that results from moving the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2027 is passed on in the form of higher prices, the result would be a 5-year stretch of inflationary pressure to equal to 0.1% per year, or about 1/100th of the increase we've seen since 2021. Then the inflationary effect would return to zero. Even this extremely mild inflation could be substantially blunted by other margins of adjustment to a higher minimum wage, including a retreat from today's still sky-high profit margins. During normal times, profits account for about 13% of the price of goods and services. But since recovery from COVID-19 recession began in the second quarter of 2020, rising profit margins have accounted for roughly 40% of the rise in prices. When these margins normalize, there will be ample room for non-inflationary wage growth. So faster inflation makes it more important to raise the minimum wage. Minimum wage increases have trivial effects on inflation. Other margins, particularly corporate profits, can absorb this small price pressure. Laws that increase the state's minimum wage directly boost the pay of the lowest paid workers who too often have little bargaining power by effectively shifting the wage negotiation between employer and worker to one between employers and community.
And some other potential options, because as we know, being a wage slave means that you're forced to work. So how could we make it to where people can have more of a choice in what they do for work? And what would that be? One potential thing, meeting the basic needs of people. Wow, who would have guessed? So, one thing is we can lower cost of living because, and that just kind of, and I would say, deals with inflation and just getting inflation under control. And obviously, we need to watch for price gouging too, because when corporate profits are high and everyone else is suffering, there's a problem there.
Yes, one might call it an inequality almost.
Yeah. Another option that we thought of was UBI, because again, with UBI, it would give people the chance to take some time off and not be worried about being forced into poverty, so they could actually figure out what it is they want to do and how best they feel they can contribute to society as a whole. And then another option that we thought of was Medicare for All, which we kind of talked about in our healthcare episode. But that again, because we know that another reason that people are concerned about quitting their jobs is losing healthcare coverage. So, how can we solve that? Exactly. Medicare for All is a potential solution to make it to where our healthcare coverage is not tied to our jobs so that our employers are not dictating whether or not we have healthcare.
Yeah, so while a lot of Americans may be considered wage slaves, whether they would want to admit it or not, there are potential solutions we can do to help us not be slaves to our jobs and also have more power and say in our lives again. More freedom, which is what America as a nation should stand for.
Yeah, so those are just some of our possible solutions. And obviously, there's probably more that people could think of too. But those are some of the ones that we thought of and provided some information to support the fact that they could help. And then we'll have one more video after this, just kind of going over a little bit of everything that we went over and kind of just us going a little more into maybe like our personal, more so opinions on it. So you can join us in that video, or if you don't want to go to that video, then you can just leave a comment below letting us know what you want us to talk about in future episodes.
You can reach out to us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We also occasionally do Twitch live streams, so look out for us there.
And don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you know when we do. Otherwise, we will see you all next time.